The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The OCTA research team says average daily cases in Metro Manila is now 61% lower than in late March. But the group clarifies this doesn't mean that the region is ready for GCQ. To tell us more about this and the latest from the DOH, we have Greg Gregorio again joining us live from Mandaluyong. Greg, good morning. Could you tell us whether the OCTA is recommending to keep Metro Manila under MECQ for the entire month?
Yes, Charles, good morning. According to Professor David of OCTA research team, they are not making any recommendation as to either extend the MECQ or scaling down the quarantine restrictions to GCQ. But what they are saying is that it would be best to just gradually reopen some part of the economy. As an example, Professor David said the government may extend MECQ, but with a calibrated east-down parts of the restrictions. According to Professor David, the next quarantine restrictions in the National Capital Region will all depend on the government. As he said, the government is well aware that every easement or every east restriction corresponds risk. Charles?
All right, Greg, thanks for that. But then could you talk us through the current reproduction rate here in Metro Manila as well as the entire country, and what are the implications?
Charles, the OCTA research team doesn't have an updated number or the updated reproduction number for the entire country. However, based on their recent report, the reproduction number for the National Capital Region has gone down to 0.66, which is now well below the ideal below 1 reproduction number as an indication of the controlled transmission of the COVID-19. Charles?
All right, Greg, so based on what we know, how long do we expect before we can see the daily cases in NCR reaching 500?
Charles, as of the latest report of the OCTA research team, the average daily new cases in the National Capital Region for the past 7 days is at around 2,000. And it would take another 6 weeks before we can see an average daily new cases around 500, just like the situation prior to the surge or back in February. Charles?
All right, Greg, let's talk about the latest health briefing. What is the current scenario as regards the health department's recommendations for childbirth during the pandemic? Short of saying, is it still safe to give birth in hospitals at this time?
Charles, the Department of Health reported that there is a reduction among those individuals having the reproductive health services, specifically in the prenatal care and postnatal care. According to the Department of Health, the pregnant women are encouraged to coordinate with their physicians for us to avoid the possibility of increased mortality rate among pregnant women due to this pandemic. Charles?
All right, Greg, let's talk about vaccines now. Do we have any updates regarding the possible allocation of the AstraZeneca doses that arrived over the weekend?
Yes, Charles, according to Health Undersecretary Vergere, the distribution of the more than 2 million doses of AstraZeneca shots which arrived in the country over the weekend will start today. All regions will have their allocation from the more than 2 million doses, but the top 3 regions who will receive most of the vaccine doses are the National Capital Region as the epicenter of the pandemic, as well as Regions 3 and Region 4A. Charles?
One other brand to hit the news this morning is, of course, Sinopharm. How is the DOH reacting to the approval of Sinopharm's EUA application with the WHO?
Yes, Charles, according to Vergere, it would mean that Sinopharm has already gone through a stringent regulatory evaluation by the World Health Organization, of course, and it means that it can now be included in the distribution of vaccines through the COVAX facility. Here in the Philippines, the Department of Health will also file an application for the emergency use authorization of Sinopharm as for the possible government-to-government government-to-government partnership for the availability of Sinopharm here in the Philippines. Charles?
Hi, Greg, I have to ask you about the incident in Caloocan yesterday, over the weekend. How is the Department of Health reacting to this blatant violation of quarantine protocols?
Charles, according to Vergere, this is clearly a violation of the protocols amid this pandemic, emphasizing that there's still a virus, that we are still facing the virus and mass gathering is prohibited. Vergere said they have instructed the regional unit of the Department of Health to locate or to make sure that all of those individuals who went to that resort will be undergoing a 14-day quarantine to prevent the possible transmission of COVID-19. And Vergere also emphasized a reminder that since we are still under the modified enhanced community quarantine, mass gatherings such as this is prohibited. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Mandaluyong. This from the Philippine Star. The Interior Department reports that around 80% of the 22.9 billion peso lockdown assistance has been distributed among beneficiaries in the NCR Plus bubble. DILG Secretary Ed Año says some 18.6 billion of the total amount has been given to qualified residents. Año is confident that all LGUs within the bubble will meet the May 15 deadline despite challenges in distribution. The agency explained that some LGUs have yet to complete their ayuda distribution due to a huge number of beneficiaries and appeals, as well as the lengthy process of payout in electronic distribution. The Bayanihan 3 bill is authorizing the government to take out an additional 282 billion peso loan from the BSP. That's if economic managers fail to identify sufficient funding sources for the third stimulus package. In an interview with Radyo 5, Bayanihan 3 bill proponent and Marikina representative Stella Quimbo says they're still looking at extra capital from GOCCs as a primary funding source. Quimbo also explained that Bayanihan 3 will no longer include extra vaccine funding. That's after the Health Department and the Interagency Task Force assured lawmakers that they have sufficient funds for vaccine procurement. Quimbo also allayed fears of possible corruption with the aid distribution for all Filipinos under Bayanihan 3.
Yung tranche 1, binigay po supposedly sa 75% of the poorest households. Pagdating sa tranche 2, sabi nila, o sige, magbibigay kami ng the same amount, pero kailangan nasa ECQ yung inyong area. So sa ngayon po, tinanggal na natin yun. Ang sabi natin, regardless of age, regardless of income, regardless of ECQ status, ang lahat po, magkakaroon ng 1,000 per head. Pero on top of that, meron pa rin dagdag na ayuda ayon sa pangangailangan.
New PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar says one of his marching orders as new head of police is the implementation of an intensified cleanliness policy in all police stations. Let's get more details from Patricia Mangune. She is reporting live from Camp Crame in Quezon City. Pat, good morning. What do you have for us?
Charles, PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar did again emphasize that he will be implementing his intensified cleanliness policy as his marching orders for the entire PNP. But Eleazar said he will not change the existing rules within the organization, but only enhance it with his intensified cleanliness program. This focuses on cleanliness in the office, in the ranks, and in the community. So Eleazar noted he may possibly conduct a surprise random inspection to check if police stations are kept tidy. He also expects station commanders to do the same. He also said that he trusts the Internal Affairs Service will continue resolving administrative cases against erring cops. He targets to get rid of the palakasan or padrino system, starting from the recruitment of police applicants to make sure all get an equal chance. He also said the same goes for his program for all police to initiate quicker response to complaints without needing any referral or intervention from a senior officer. To keep the community clean, the PNP will continue their law enforcement operations. And for transparency, Eleazar said the goal is to have the 2,700 units of body cams fully utilized once all protocols have been finalized. Charles, meanwhile, Eleazar also reiterated his order to arrest any quarantine or health protocol violators or those not wearing a face mask, as long as local police will make sure to place them in a spacious holding area, not more than 12 hours, provide them with a face mask if needed, and should only penalize them according to the local ordinance. Charles?
Thanks for that, Patricia. That was Patricia Mangune reporting live from Camp Crame. In celebration of Mother's Day, Miss Universe candidates took the time to offer a message of thanks to their moms. That's despite their hectic schedules as the highly anticipated coronation night draws near. The candidates recalled their personal experiences with their mothers and thanked them for all their sacrifices and lessons. Let's hear it straight from the women.
Te quiero dar las gracias por todo tu amor, por transmitirme tus valores, por tus enseñanzas y consejos.
For making me smile when you weren't feeling like it. Thank you for teaching me what unconditional love is.
And I'm really grateful for having you as my friend.
Your arms were always open when I needed a hug.
You'd stay with me and share your strength when I was sick or even simply scared.
You were there to look over me, but at the same time, you let me experience the world on my own.
You were the first person who believed in me, even when I didn't.
And you taught me how to love myself and how loving myself is important.
I promise I will use all the kindness and patience that you have taught me to make the world a better place.
I will work every single day to make you prouder.
We're gonna choose our family, but if I could, I would always choose you.
Happy Mother's Day to the best mom, woman, and person on the planet.
มามีน่ารักมามีนะคะ Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Gracias, Mommy.
I love you endlessly.
And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.